Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing this Wednesday, September 2nd. A look at our fire potential impacts. We are still looking at some significant wind activity. Today confined up in our north central Idaho area. Today and tomorrow across a good portion of Nevada and western Utah. Both of these areas should see winds of anywhere from 15 to 30 miles per hour, perhaps some higher gusts across the higher terrain, especially up in the mountains of Idaho today. A look at yesterday's weather conditions, lightning-wise, a fair amount of lightning across eastern Utah. And if we look at the precipitation map, we see that it was quite wet. The secondary colors of blue indicate anywhere from a quarter inch to a half inch of rain, and even a few localized pockets of near an inch of rain in areas that already are fairly moist. Great Basin fire activity. We had some growth on some of our existing large fires up in the mountains of central Idaho. Some light IA areas further south and east, primarily associated with the lightning, but again, due to the moisture content of the fuels, very little in the way of growth. Look at our satellite water vapor imagery. The high pressure ridge that was over us, giving us lots of heat last week, has now shifted well off to the east, and we actually have our digging low pressure system up in British Columbia that we'll be watching as our next weather maker as it drops south and east. Today's significant fire potential, you can see that our driest areas are across the western half of Nevada. We've moderated quite a bit in most of our other areas. There is high risk for wind just to our northeast across portions of southwestern Montana, and we're going to be right on the cusp, probably not high risk, but possibly approaching high risk criteria by later today. I'll look at wind gusts this afternoon combined with relative humidity. You see that our winds will be picking up. We'll focus up here up in our mountains of Idaho. You can see that these yellow wind gusts are in the 30-35 mile per hour range. You also notice that the relative humidity in these areas are quite dry. Driest, of course, as you head further south across Nevada and across western parts of Utah. Now, watching the change for tomorrow, you see that the gusts are still quite strong up through portions of Idaho. The winds kind of shift more to the north and east, but notice the humidity starts coming up significantly, so that's going to be the next key feature. We'll have increasing humidity, and that's associated with that next low pressure system. Weather conditions for late today, you can see that showers do arrive across parts of northern Idaho and into parts of adjacent eastern Oregon with that first frontal system by late today, overspreading more of the area of Idaho with showers, most of our large fire areas for tomorrow, Thursday. Blowing dust, still an issue in areas further south across portions of Nevada. Now for Friday, looks like our wind gusts start diminishing quite a bit, and again, a larger area of light showers continuing across the region. And the reason for those showers, we'll go through our weather pattern. We'll start with tomorrow. You can see that low pressure area with that moisture content in the green dropping down across the Pacific Northwest, and that moisture does, that little shot does come through Idaho as well. Our significant fire potential on the right. As we go through Friday, notice that that moisture deepens a bit, and then Saturday, the low pressure system actually closes off, and a larger area of moisture grows and pushes into the northern third of Nevada, northern third of Utah, and just about all of Idaho. So probably a redevelopment of shower activity, maybe getting heavier as we go into the early part of the weekend. Notice that some of our PSAs are going back into the green moist category in those areas where we do have large fire activity, and that moisture continues as we go into Sunday. Showers start moving out, but on our right, our PSAs, our fuels, our ERCS in 100 hours get moistened up quite a bit, and that trend continues on into Monday as well. The low moves out, but we don't get hot and dry, just seasonable conditions for early September. Forecast precipitation amounts over the next 5 days. You can see that areas where we currently have large fire activity up in central Idaho, these shades in blue, the first two shades are anywhere from a half inch to 3/4 of an inch, maybe some localized pockets of an inch of rainfall. Even down towards the Nevada and the Utah borders, a couple hundredths to a tenth of an inch of rain possible, as well as across far south eastern Utah. And as we go into next Tuesday, uh, again, the weather pattern stays fairly zonal and average, not much going on. The low moves out, but we don't get hot and dry. Our fire potential stays fairly benign as well. Looking at our current ERC conditions, we have moderated a bit from what we were about a week ago, but in the last 48 hours, some of the areas have dried out a little bit. See a little red up here in our far northern areas. But again, for overall, we've moderated quite a bit, and these fuel conditions will continue to moderate with the cooler, more moist conditions as we go through the latter part of the week. Taking a longer range outlook at the 8 to 14 day period, at temperatures on the left, you can see that a lot of heat building up again along the immediate west coast. With a cool center across the upper Midwest, our area will be right in the middle, maybe a little bit warmer than normal. Not as warm as it has been recently, but a little warmer than normal as we go into the 8 to 14 day period. But not much in the way of precipitation for much of our area, except for the southern half of Utah and perhaps the southern half of Nevada and the Arizona Strip, with some disturbances coming on through. But our northern areas where we have currently large fire activity will be drying out over the next 8 to 14 days. This concludes our briefing. Have a safe day.